I was halfway through a quarterly projection pitch when the room turned sideways. One second, I was clicking through freight stats and warehouse efficiency charts. The next, the lights above the conference table smeared into a white blur. My tongue felt like it didn't belong in my mouth. My chest squeezed so tight I couldn't get air, and my legs buckled before I even knew what was happening. I heard my manager yell my name, the click-clack of heels rushing toward me, someone knocking over a water bottle. Then everything went black. My name's Darren. I'm 38. I live in Jefferson, Indiana, and I work at a mid-sized logistics firm that moves the stuff no one ever thinks about. Conveyor belts, steel piping, office furniture. That morning, I'd driven in early, skipped breakfast, slammed 2 energy drinks, and told myself I'd power through the meeting and eat later. Turns out, later meant waking up with tubes in my arm. The hospital room was cold and too white. Machines beeped steadily around me. A nurse hovered over my left side, adjusting something on the IV line. "You scared the hell out of your coworkers," she said, without looking up. "You're lucky someone knew CPR." My throat felt like sandpaper. I couldn't even ask what happened, just managed a grunt. "You had a heart attack," she said, finally meeting my eyes. "Massive one. Doctor will explain more when he comes in. We called your wife already." Wife, right, Clara. That pulled me all the way back into my body. My heartbeat was still sluggish, like it didn't fully trust me yet, but I forced myself upright as far as the rails allowed. My ribs hurt. Breathing felt strange, like there was someone else's lungs in my chest. "She coming?" I asked, my voice cracked. The nurse gave me a tight smile. "Maybe she hit traffic. You're stable now. Try to rest, all right?" I didn't rest. I stared at the door. Doctors came and went. A young guy in blue scrubs went over the blockage, the clot, the percentages. He handed me a paper with a list of lifestyle changes. "Your body gave you a warning," he said. "Don't ignore it." I asked again about Clara. "They said they contacted her," he repeated. I waited. Lunch came. I didn't touch it. Dinner came. Still no Clara. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. By the time they turned the lights down and left me alone, I was still staring at the door, waiting. I woke up stiff and sweating. The hospital gown clung to my back. The sheets were twisted around my legs, and the monitor next to me kept chiming like it was tired of waiting too. The chair across from me was still empty. Same ugly green cushion, same dent in the cushion where someone should have been sitting. I looked toward the hallway like maybe she'd suddenly appear in the doorway with a half-hearted apology and a smoothie. Nope. A nurse walked in around 8, middle-aged, short red curls. Her name tag said Monica. "Morning, sweetheart," she said, too cheerful. "Feeling any better?" "Chest still hurts," I said. "Feels like someone parked a truck on it." She nodded, flipping through something on a tablet. "That's expected. But you're lucky. If this happened alone at home..." She didn't finish that thought. She didn't have to. Instead, she looked toward the door, then back at me. "Anyone coming by this morning? Wife? Family?" I shook my head. "Not yet." She hesitated like she wanted to say more, but smiled instead. "All right, I'll be back with your meds. You get some rest." Rest, right. By lunch, I'd scrolled through every message and voicemail on my phone. Most were from coworkers. 2 were from my boss, awkward and corporate. "Take care of yourself, Darren. We'll regroup next quarter." Nothing from Clara. I kept checking, like maybe the notifications were stuck, or the signal was bad. The Wi-Fi worked just fine. I knew that because I streamed 3 episodes of a home renovation show on mute just to have something moving in the room. The silence was brutal. Every time a nurse stepped in, they looked at the chair first, like maybe someone had just slipped out to grab coffee. No one did. Dinner was rubbery chicken and a cup of orange Jell-O. I didn't eat the chicken. I tossed the Jell-O in the trash and hit the vending machine for a Snickers and a warm bottle of Sprite. Daytime TV bled into late-night reruns. I watched some guy in Texas renovate his dead uncle's barn into a wedding venue. My chest hurt from more than just the heart attack. It felt personal. Like my body knew it was being left behind. Next morning, still no message. No, "Hey, I'm coming by." No, "Are you alive?" Nothing. I stopped expecting the door to open. The nurse with the red curls brought in new meds and tried not to glance at the chair this time. I hated how much I noticed that. Around 10, I opened Facebook, just to feel human. Dumb habit. I figured maybe Clara posted something, maybe there was a car accident or emergency. Something to explain why she hadn't come. Right at the top was a post from her sister, Kayla, and it hit me like another punch to the chest. Photo grid, campfire, picnic tables, 4 smiling cousins holding solo cups. Clara, right in the middle of it, holding a hot dog and laughing with her hair pulled back in a braid. The caption, cousin bonding without the drama. It was tagged with me. I blinked at the screen. The post had gone up 2 hours ago. The campground in the photo wasn't just any place. It was the exact same one Clara and I went to for our 3rd anniversary. I recognized the wooden sign in the background, the stupid metal frog statue by the grill station. We had a framed photo of that frog on our dresser at home. No one looked upset. No one looked like someone's husband had nearly died the day before. I stared at her face, relaxed, happy, like I didn't even exist. I turned off the screen and dropped the phone on the side table so hard it slid off and hit the floor. The nurse poked her head in a few minutes later. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said, my voice flat. "Just dropped something?" She looked down at the phone but didn't say anything. I leaned back, chest still tight, jaw clenched, fingers curled in the blanket like I was holding on to something real. I waited 5 minutes before picking my phone off the floor. Screen still lit. Same post. Same caption. I tapped it open, like an idiot. Like maybe there was something I hadn't seen yet. There wasn't. It was a whole album, 10 photos deep. Clara was in almost every shot. Smiling, sipping a mimosa in one, posing with her little cousin in another. Someone had done her nails. She looked fresh, rested, like she hadn't just watched her husband collapse in front of 12 people and get carted off in an ambulance. Second photo? The cousins around a campfire, her head resting on Kayla's shoulder. Third, cornhole match. Clara mid-laugh. One flip-flop kicked off. Fourth, Clara and Kayla holding up a sign that said, "Choosing joy over chaos," in thick pink letters. That was the caption under the whole post. Choosing joy over chaos. They even put a sun emoji and a sparkle. They tagged me in it. Why tag me? Why post it like that, knowing where I was? Knowing I could barely move, couldn't breathe without pain, couldn't even take a damn piss without help. I scrolled to the comments. "Oh my God, Clara, you look so happy." Yes, good vibes only. Setting boundaries is hard but worth it. "Where's Darren?" That one stopped me. Posted by some cousin I barely knew, Tara or Tessa or whatever. Kayla had replied underneath with this gem. "He's focusing on his personal growth, 2 emojis. Like I was on a yoga retreat instead of lying in a hospital bed with a blood clot in my heart. I gripped the phone so tight my fingers went numb. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't a "we forgot to tell people" thing. They wanted me to see this. They tagged me. They posted the same campground on purpose. The same grill I cooked burgers on that night. Clara cried and told me she felt safe for the first time in years. And now, I was chopped out like a bad scene from a wedding video. Another comment rolled in. "Proud of you, Clara. Protect your peace." Clara replied with a heart. A goddamn heart. No one knew I was lying here. Nobody cared. And Clara, my wife of 6 years, was out there taking selfies and handing out positivity like it was candy at a parade. The phone slipped out of my hand again, this time on purpose. I let it thud onto the floor and left it there. The nurse came in to check my vitals. She glanced at me, at the monitor, then back at my face. "You need anything?" "Silence would be good," I said. She nodded once and left the room. I stared at the ceiling, breathing through the ache in my chest, trying not to scream. I wasn't mad yet. Not really. I was past mad. This was different. This was surgical, cold. They left me out on purpose. They crafted the whole narrative like it was a damn Pinterest board. Family, healing, boundaries, joy. All buzzwords. All bullshit. They used me. Drained me. And now that I wasn't useful, now that I couldn't lift boxes or pay for surprise plane tickets or cover someone's dental emergency, they tossed me aside and lit sparklers about it. I turned my head to the side, looked at the empty chair again. It hadn't moved in 2 days. I hated how symbolic that felt. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't some fluke. This was the plan. I was meant to see all of it. By the 3rd morning, I didn't even bother reaching for my phone. It was still on the floor where I'd let it fall, Battery probably dead. Didn't matter. I wasn't waiting anymore. The quiet had changed. The first day it felt like punishment. The second day it felt like a slap. Now, it just felt normal. The same nurse came in around 7, Monica. She adjusted my IV, scribbled something on her clipboard, and gave me a careful glance. Not pity, just curiosity. Like she was trying to solve a puzzle that didn't quite add up. "You want the TV on?" she asked. "No," I said. "All right," she replied. "You need anything, press the button." She walked out, and I stared at the wall across from my bed. It had a weird brown stain shaped like Texas. I kept tracing the edge of it with my eyes, over and over, like it'd give me answers. Around 9, this janitor showed up with a mop and a rolling cart. Mid-50s maybe, thick beard, ball cap. Didn't say much, just nodded when we made eye contact. The third time he came in, he left a coffee cup on my tray table. No hospital logo, just a plain black thermos-style cup. It smelled like actual coffee, not the burnt stuff from the nurse station. "You bring that from outside?" I asked. He shrugged. "I'm not telling if you're not." I took a sip. Strong, bitter, perfect. He kept coming in every few hours after that. Never asked questions. Didn't try to small talk me to death. Just nodded, cleaned, dropped off another cup. The silence between us felt easier than the fake concern I got from everyone else. Later that day, the young doctor with the thick glasses came by again. He checked my chart, looked at the monitor, then glanced at the chair. Still empty. Still untouched. "She really hasn't come?" he asked, quieter this time. "Nope. No one else either." I shook my head. He scratched the back of his neck, then just said, "That's unusual," and left it there. I appreciated that he didn't pretend it wasn't weird, the worst part. I wasn't even angry anymore. That scared me more than the silence. Anger meant I still had fight, still had some skin in the game. But this was hollow, like something had been scooped out of me and tossed in the trash without a second thought. I thought about Clara's laugh, the way she used to lean on me when she was tired, her little inside jokes with Kayla, how I was always the one driving, fixing, covering bills, rearranging my schedule for family events. And now that I couldn't be their safety net, I was just gone, scrubbed clean. It hit me all at once. What I thought was love wasn't love. It was use, function, transaction. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want apologies. I wanted out. I started making a list in my head, not of what they owed me, but what I'd given. The vacations, the rent help, the car repairs, the late-night pickups, the emergency funds. Every item I counted. Something inside me got lighter, like a knot I didn't even know was there had started to loosen. Something snapped, quietly, not like a scream, more like a thread breaking. I was halfway through that mental list, somewhere between the emergency vet bill for her sister's dog and the 2 weeks I took off work to help her dad move, when the silence broke. My phone lit up on the floor, once, then again, then it wouldn't stop. Buzz, buzz, buzz. I stared at it. No part of me wanted to pick it up, but I did. 44 missed calls, 12 voicemails, 1 group text. "We need you. Call now." Sent by Clara, followed by one from her dad. "This is urgent. Call your family." Family, cute. No message asking if I was okay, no apology, no explanation, just urgency. Like I had dropped the ball, 4 days of nothing, and now they suddenly remembered I existed. I tossed the phone on the bed and hit the nurse call button. When she walked in, I said, "I need to use the room phone. Long distance, okay?" She nodded. "Sure. You want me to dial it for you?" "No, I know the number." I hadn't called Elias in over 6 months, not because anything was wrong. He just didn't need babysitting like the rest of them. He picked up on the second ring. Darren. Just that, like he knew. "Hey, Grandpa." My voice cracked on the last word. "What's going on?" "I'm in the hospital," I said. Heart attack. 4 days ago. Silence, 1 beat, 2. "Which hospital?" I told him. He didn't ask why I hadn't called sooner, didn't say a word about Clara, just said, "I'll be there in an hour," and hung up. Exactly 52 minutes later, he walked into my room. No knock, no clipboard, just him. Old denim jacket, pressed slacks, and that same no bullshit look he's had since I was 5. He sat in the chair that had stayed empty for 4 days and looked at me like a man seeing a person, not a patient. "You look like hell," he said. "I feel worse," I replied. He nodded. No forced jokes, no performance. For the first time since I hit the floor at work, I felt like a person again. Like I wasn't just a problem to fix or a task to dodge. Clara texted me this morning, he said. Some weird vague thing. Didn't reply. I didn't even ask what she said. Didn't care. You hungry? He asked. Only if it's not from the vending machine. He stood up, pulled a paper bag from inside his jacket, and handed it to me. 2 ham sandwiches wrapped in foil, still warm. Figured hospital food wouldn't cut it, he said. I opened one, took a bite, and almost choked from how real it tasted. I hadn't eaten actual food in days. Did the doctor say anything important? He asked. Yeah. If I don't change everything, I die. He nodded again, calm as ever. Then let's change everything. That hit me. Not you need to change. Let's. He didn't offer me advice, didn't try to fix anything. He just showed up, sat down, gave me food, listened. Clara and her family had 4 days to do that. They didn't. Now that the money faucet was off, they suddenly remembered I existed, but Elias. He showed up with sandwiches and silence, and that was enough. After I finished the second sandwich, Elias reached into his bag again and pulled out a worn leather folder and his old tablet. I've got some questions, he said, straightening in the chair. You lucid enough to think? Barely, I said, but go for it. Any allergies I should know about? Shellfish and penicillin. Family history of heart trouble. Yeah, my dad dropped dead at 49. Same deal. Didn't see it coming. Elias tapped a few notes into the tablet. You on any meds? Just started blood pressure and blood thinner. He nodded, eyes steady. Good. Now, let's talk money. That got my attention. I started poking around when Clara texted me this morning, he said, flipping the tablet around so I could see. Didn't like the tone. Figured something was off. He opened a spreadsheet, 5 tabs, each labeled with a name or an account title. You recognize any of these? He asked. I saw Kayla's name first. That's Clara's sister, I said. Yep. You've been paying the lease on her boutique for 2.5 years. Auto draft from your joint checking. Almost 14 grand total. My stomach turned. He clicked to the next tab. Car insurance. Split between her dad, her cousin Jeremy, and her Aunt Nora. All bundled under your name for the group discount. Guess who pays it? I just stared at him. $1,500 every 6 months, he said. You've been doing it for almost 4 years. Jesus Christ, I muttered. Next tab, mortgage transfer, N. Wallace. That's her uncle, I said. You've been covering the difference on a forbearance program. $200 a month for the last 18 months. All done through a dummy email registered to your name. Look familiar. He tapped it. It was my old Hotmail account, one I hadn't used in years. She must have found your password on something, Elias said. My chest tightened all over again. He clicked to another tab. PayPal loans, dozens of transfers, all small, 400 here, 350 there, some labeled emergency. Others just had emojis in the memo. That's her cousin Megan, I said, reading the usernames. And probably Kayla again. Some of these are just initials. Adds up to about 12 grand, Elias said. Spread over the last 5 years. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. He opened the final tab. It was a basic summary. Total paid out. All from me, either directly or through shared accounts I barely remembered authorizing. $51,864. 27. The number sat on the screen like a slap. I leaned back, heart pounding again. But this time, it wasn't the heart attack. It was rage and disgust and embarrassment. How the hell did I miss this? I whispered. Because you trusted them, Elias said, and you were too busy trying to be everything to everyone. He didn't say it like judgment, just truth. He reached into the folder and pulled out a small stack of cancellation forms. Each one already filled out. Auto pays, authorization letters. He handed me a pen. You want to be done with this or not? I looked him in the eye and nodded. One by one, I signed every single form. We canceled the boutique lease first, then the insurance, then the forbearance payment. Each click felt like ripping out a rotten nail. When we got to the last PayPal auto transfer, I stopped. There was a note next to one labeled Urgent Rent. It was dated the day after I collapsed. She sent this the day after I went down. I asked. Elias looked at me. Yep, still pulling cash while you were unconscious. I laughed. It came out dry and bitter. I really married into this mess, I said. No, Elias replied. You were dragged into it. Now you're dragging yourself out. Something shifted in my chest. The fog that had sat on me since the hospital lights first hit my face started to thin. Every form we canceled felt like oxygen. By the time we canceled the last auto payment, the fallout started hitting my phone like shrapnel, voicemails, one after another. Clara here. We really need to talk. Call me, please. Then her dad. This is serious, Darren. You need to be responsible. Then Kayla. You don't get to just cut people off like that. This affects everyone. Every message sounded less concerned about me and more pissed off about the money. I sat there and let them pile up. Watched the numbers tick up like a scoreboard. Clara sent a long-ass text that looked like it belonged in a Facebook argument. It started with, I'm worried about you, and ended with, this isn't you. You're spiraling. Funny how I wasn't spiraling when I was paying their bills. An hour later, I opened Instagram. I shouldn't have, but I did. Kayla had posted a selfie, crying, real wet mascara streaks. Caption said, please pray for our family. Mental illness is real. No mention of me by name, but the comments knew. Oh no, is this about Darren? Sending light. So sad to see someone fall apart like this. You're so strong for keeping boundaries. It would have stayed one-sided if people hadn't remembered the other post. The BBQ. The choosing joy bullshit. The smiling cousins with marshmallows while I was laid up in a hospital bed. Somebody, God bless the internet, put 2 and 2 together and dropped screenshots in the comments. Timeline receipts, post dates, tags. And just like that, the narrative cracked. Wait, wasn't this taken while he was in the hospital? Y'all were posting party pics 2 days after his heart attack. Now you're worried. Make it make sense. The post got flagged, then reposted, then screen recorded and dumped on Twitter. A thread went viral. When boundaries just means cutting off your ATM. Clara's cousin Megan tried to do damage control in the replies. Said I'd been manipulated by an outsider. Outsider equals Elias. I showed him the post when he came back the next morning. He didn't blink. Let him talk, he said. Loud liars get quiet real fast when the law shows up. He meant it too, because 2 days later, Clara's family made their next move. I got a formal letter from their lawyer, some joke of a firm in Bloomington, claiming temporary financial guardianship. They said I was unstable, a danger to myself, that my recent financial decisions suggested impaired judgment. I sat there holding the envelope like it was radioactive. My hands started shaking, not from fear, but from disbelief. Can they even do this? I asked. Elias didn't say anything. He reached into his bag again. This time, he handed me a card. Local firm. Real lawyer. I already called her, he said. She'll be here at noon. Her name was Miss Dunlap. Sharp suit, sharper voice. She walked in like she already owned the place. They're bluffing, she said after reading the papers. But they filed it, so we're going to shut it down hard. How fast can that happen? I asked. She looked at her watch. Already in motion. 3 hours later, I was on a video call with a judge. He asked me a series of questions. My name, my age, where I was, why I was in the hospital. I answered all of them clear and calm. He asked if I understood the financial decisions I'd made this week. Fully, I said. And I'm proud of them. 10 minutes later, the judge denied the guardianship request outright, called it frivolous and clearly retaliatory. Ms. Dunlap smiled. Elias cracked his knuckles. I felt like I'd just walked out of a burning house with both lungs still intact. The next day, Clara texted, "Can we please just talk in person? Just us." I didn't respond. She followed with, "You're being cruel. I'm trying to fix this." No, she wasn't. She was trying to plug the leak. Letting go didn't feel like some dramatic release. It felt like turning down the volume on a TV that had been screaming in my ear for 6 years. The envelope was thick, too formal. My name typed in bold on the front, like they thought dressing it up would make it hit harder. Elias handed it to me like it was a piece of junk mail. From your favorite in-laws. I opened it slow, already bracing for some new circus act. Inside, a notarized copy of my father-in-law's will. real signature, legal letterhead, even one of those little embossed stamps to make it look official. I skimmed the first paragraph and laughed. Actually laughed. First real one in days. In the event of my passing, Darren Wallace shall be excluded from any inheritance or asset transfer unless he returns to the family in good standing and issues a full written apology to myself and other harmed parties. The harmed parties part killed me. Elias raised an eyebrow. He thinks that'll scare you. I handed it to him. Apparently, I've been cut out of the kingdom. He read through it, snorted, and tossed it on the tray table next to the half-eaten hospital pudding. "Joke's on him," Elias said. "I did a background pull 2 days ago. That estate he's dangling over your head. It's a house that got foreclosed in April, and a boat he still owes $7,000 on." I shook my head. They're still playing chess on a board that's on fire. He leaned forward, voice low and steady. "You ready to shut this all the way down?" "Yeah," I said. "It's time." We filed permanent no-contact orders the next day, me and Miss Dunlap. Straightforward process, no drama. Clara and her dad were both served within 24 hours. No more texts, no more calls, no more guilt-laced demands wrapped in fake concern. The paperwork felt more final than any fight we ever had. No screaming, no door slamming, just silence. Elias stood next to me in the courthouse parking lot afterward, sipping gas station coffee and looking at the sky like it had answers. "Well," he asked. I took a deep breath. "I'm done." "You mean it this time?" "For good." He nodded like he believed me, because this time, I did too. There was no big emotional speech, no burning pictures or thrown rings, just clarity, cold and clean. I'd been married to a family, not a person. Every memory I thought was love was just leverage. They didn't want me. They wanted what I gave them. And when the giving stopped, so did I. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad either. It was like watching the lights flick off in a building I didn't work in anymore. 2 weeks after I walked out of that courthouse, I walked into a cabin at the edge of the Hoosier National Forest. Elias stood behind me, arms crossed, watching like a foreman at a job site. "Not bad," he said. "It'll force you to breathe." It already was. 1 bedroom, wood stove, tiny kitchen, porch with a busted swing, no TV, no neighbors, just trees, dirt, sky. We'd found it through one of his old fishing buddies, a retired forest ranger who rented it out cheap to folks looking to disappear quietly. I took the offer before the guy finished his sentence. The place had just enough cell signal to check emails, but not enough for a Zoom call without cutting out. I called that a win. My new job was remote, freight logistics coordinator for a small firm out in Montana, fewer meetings, no office politics. I worked 4 days a week and logged out the second my hours were done. First paycheck, I bought a coffee grinder and a decent chair. Second paycheck, I bought a weather radio and a deck of cards. I stopped budgeting for other people's fires. No car insurance for cousins, no emergency rent, no, "Can you just float me until Friday?" Nonsense. My name wasn't their plan B anymore. The silence hit different up here. Not empty, not cold, just still. It didn't hum with guilt or expectation. It didn't carry the weight of unspoken obligations. It just let me be. Elias drove up every Sunday, brought beans, bacon, apples from a market out by Powley. Sometimes he'd bring a 6-pack or a stack of old war novels. Sometimes he'd just bring himself. We didn't talk much, not in the way most people think you should. He'd brew coffee on the stove and hand me a cup. Then we'd sit on the porch, side by side, watching the fog lift off the tree line. Some mornings, we'd talk about nothing, tools, the state of the roads, what the weather would do. Other mornings, we didn't say a damn thing. And both felt good. The cabin didn't heal me. That's not how this works. But it gave me the space to start sorting through what the hell I'd just been through. Some nights I'd lie in bed, listening to the wind press against the windows, and realize I hadn't thought about Clara once all day. That felt like progress. I stopped waiting for the phone to ring, stopped checking social media, stopped wondering how they were spinning the story now that I wasn't around to carry it. Didn't matter. Let them talk. I wasn't in the conversation anymore. One morning, Elias handed me a mug and nodded toward the trees. "Looks like a storm's coming in from the west," he said. I took a sip, nodded back. "I'm not scared of storms anymore," I said. He didn't say anything, just patted my shoulder and sat back down. And that was enough. The first Christmas card showed up mid-November, Thick red envelope with glitter glue on the back, and my name in calligraphy like that made it personal. I didn't open it, just dropped it straight in the firebox. A week later, some mutual friend I hadn't spoken to in years messaged me on Facebook. "Hey man, Clara told me you're going through a tough time. Maybe give her a chance." Blocked. Then it was her therapist. Her therapist. Sent me a polite, professional little email. "Clara has been doing the work and would appreciate a chance to speak her truth when you're ready." I laughed and hit delete. She had 6 years to speak her truth. I'm not her rehab assignment. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. A couple days later, someone I didn't even know tagged me in a thread on Twitter. It was a deep dive. Screenshots, post dates, message receipts, all of it lined up. The cookout during my heart attack, the crying selfie afterward, the fake concern, the guardianship stunt, the will. By the time I finished scrolling, it had over 50,000 likes. Hundreds of people in the comments said what I didn't have to. Dude was their ATM. This is financial abuse straight up. They turned on him the second he said no. Clara never posted again. Kayla went private. Megan deleted half her feed. No apology came, no explanation either, and I didn't need one. I kept chopping wood, making coffee, living quiet. No noise, no emergencies, just days that started slow and ended still. I didn't feel like a victim. I didn't feel like some sad, broken man who lost everything. I felt free. I wasn't rich. I wasn't famous. Hell, I wasn't even relevant to half the people I used to eat dinner with every other Sunday. But I was finally mine. One clear, cold morning, Elias showed up with a new thermos. Said the old one leaked. We sat on the porch like always, boots up on the rail, mugs in hand. Didn't say much, didn't need to. After a while, he looked out toward the trees and said, "You're good now." I nodded once. "I know."